Hey guys, Retired at 40. For this week's recipe, we're doing refried beans in the Instant Pot. The first part of this recipe is actually to let these beans soak, and when you soak it just kind of loosens them up. So these actually need to go into something to soak for 8 hours. So the main ingredient of refried beans is pinto beans, and we're using a 2-pound bag, and that's what our recipe is going to be based on today. And then once we have our 2 pounds of pinto beans in a container, you're going to want to fill it up with water to soak in. You want the water to be at least 4 to 5 inches higher than the bean level. It's real important to let these sit for 8 hours. It really makes them tender, and you don't want to try and rush this. So try and find something else to do while you're letting these soak for 8 hours. Alright, now that these have had a good soak, we're going to rinse and strain them. And you can see now that they've been sitting for a while, they have soaked up a lot of that water. Now that we're all rinsed off, we're going to go into the reservoir of the Instant Pot with the beans. We're going to add 1 teaspoon or 2 cloves of garlic. We're going to do half of an onion up to 1 onion, depending on how oniony you want your recipe. And then 3 cups of water. And that should be just enough to fill all those ingredients and just barely cover it with water. Then we're going to put our top back on. We're going to go to manual setting on pressure cook, and we're going to do 30 minutes. Make sure your seal is closed, and then when that 30 minutes is up, we're going to do a natural release, which should take about 20 minutes. So putting the onions and the garlic in at the same time as the beans are pressure cooking, it really soaks up that flavor. So while this is pressure cooking, it's a good time to get your spices together. You're going to need 2 tablespoons of red wine vinegar. Then we need a teaspoon of sea salt, a teaspoon of cumin, and a teaspoon of chili powder. Okay, so our beans are done. We've let them naturally release, and if it is done correctly, your lid should just come off. There should be no pressure. If you flip this, there should be no pressure. So the smell coming off this is really, really good. You can definitely smell the onions and the garlic. So what I like to do is add in my vinegar and my spices. And then all you really need to do is just mix this all up. I'm going to use an immersion blender, but you can also just use a regular blender or a food processor. Depending what you're putting this on, you can use water to thicken up or thin out your refried beans. We tend to use ours a little bit more soupy-like. We like to put ours in the freeze dryer, or it freezes really well too if you make a bigger batch and you don't need all of it. Let me know what you use your refried beans for. I always look forward to your questions and comments. This is Retired at 40. Remember to live life simple. We'll catch you next week.